Some of my content has mention of extreme violence, sexual assault, and/or other triggering content. Discretion is advised. I'm going to do a quick trigger warning on this case. It is very bad, and it is involving a child. If that is not your thing, please skip, go to another video, and come back next time. It's heavy, but it needs to be talked about. On Friday, September 4th, 2020, at about 12:19 p.m., a call was made to 911 to report a child missing. The caller reported that she had not seen him in about 30 minutes and believed he may have fallen out of a third-story window. This call was made by the grandmother, Bobby Johnson. The case is very heavy that I have for you today, but let me tell you about the life and the tragic death of Braylen Noble. Hello, welcome back to my channel, Dark Enigmas, where we talk about all of the mysteries that are on the darker side. This one is very, very dark. It is very heavy. This was a case that was suggested to me when we were doing a live, and I don't know whether to thank the person that suggested it or not. This case needs to be out there, especially since it feels like there is no justice. And Braylon's life and all that he was needs to be out there. So I do thank this person for suggesting it, but I also, just researching it was so heavy and hard, but I made it through, and I want to tell you guys this story because it is extremely sad. But we need cases like this to be at the forefront, and this one is not. So let me tell you about the case of Braylen Noble. So Braylen Noble was a super cute little 3-year-old boy. He lived with his mother, Dejanay Cox, and his grandmother, Bobby Johnson, in an apartment in Toledo, Ohio. His father was incarcerated at this time. Brainlyn was nonverbal due to autism. However, he always had the biggest smile in like every picture that I've seen of him. He liked to swim and go to the park, according to his mother. Brainlyn was a picky eater, so he struggled to eat a lot of the time. Now, I don't know how it feels to have a child with autism and is nonverbal like Braylen was, but I can imagine that it's very, very difficult. However, it seemed that Dejanay struggled. There was a lot of crying heard from the apartment a lot of the time. The morning of September 4th was no different. Neighbors say that there was a lot of crying heard, and then suddenly it stopped. Now, that 911 call that I talked about earlier was made by his grandmother, Bobby, and you can hear his mother very upset and crying in the background. This grandmother explains that Brainlyn was in the room, and when they checked on him, his window was opened and he was not there. They assumed that he fell out of the window. Now, here is the window, and it is 3 stories high. You can see the window has been pulled in. A lot of people started questioning this right away. First of all, if he fell out the window, wouldn't the window be pushed out? Also, if he fell that far, wouldn't he be injured? Now, there was a huge search and a lot of people searching for Brainlyn. When he went missing, he was wearing only a pull-up and a white Mickey Mouse shirt, which reading that just broke my heart. They searched for days, and a lot of the community came out to help. Firefighters used dive teams to search the swimming pool that was by the apartment. They searched behind houses, the creek that was behind the apartments, vehicles, abandoned houses, and all over the property. They didn't find the young boy. Then the divers asked for the pool to be drained, and they still did not find him. However, the searchers were not happy about the way that Dejanay was acting. A lot of people said that she wasn't sad at all, and that she really didn't even seem to be searching for her son, and they were all out there searching for him. So it really upset a lot of the searchers. She posted a lot on social media, and some of these things were targeted at the searchers and saying, like, you need to search this area, or being upset that they weren't searching where she wanted them to. She also targeted a man she believed was responsible for Braylon's disappearance, a white man with red hair. This man had nothing to do with this. I mean, he was cleared right away. But he was a target for a lot of hate in those first couple of days. One of the search days, they found a hole that was dug behind the apartment complex in the woods. And it was dug by a 2x4, clearly. And then the 2x4 was placed beside the hole, but there was nothing around it. Now, very sadly, on September 10th, 2020, the body of 3-year-old Braylen Noble was found. And he was found in the swimming pool at the apartment complex that he was missing from. And I know you're wondering, they searched that pool, and yes, they did, numerous times. There was a lot of people around the pool, by the pool. No one saw anything. The divers did not know he was there, apparently. So yeah, they did search that pool, but they didn't find anything until September 10th. Magically, on September 10th, his body was there. I had heard from a source that he was in the pump part of the pool or something like that, but I could not find another source that said that, so I'm not sure if that's true. According to the pool maintenance man, the pool had been open for the season, but had closed 3 months ago because of a pump issue. The fence around the pool also had a lock, and the people that had access to this were the people that worked at the apartment complex and all of the residents. Now, Braylon's mother, Dejanay, was questioned a lot, and so was the grandmother. She went to the police station a lot during those first few days, and the police questioned her and really didn't have a reason to arrest her in those first couple of days. But to the public, she was already guilty. Like, they stood outside of her house and screamed, "Justice for Braylon, baby killer." Yeah, the story was weird and sketchy from the beginning, and people picked up on that and were extremely upset with Dejanay. Now, there was an autopsy performed on Braylen Noble's body, and the story that Dejanay told and the autopsy really didn't fit. The story that she told and the autopsy didn't make any sense after it came out. So the autopsy was conducted, and it was undetermined how the toddler had died. They noted that there was no toxicology or automatic reason for a death. But they did say that submersion in water was a contributing factor, finding no obvious signs of trauma on the boy's body. So keep that in mind. There was no trauma on his body. The cause of death was undetermined, and there was submersion in water was a likely solution. Now, just a couple months ago, on October 28th, 2021, Braylon's mother and grandmother were indicted on connection to Braylon's death. Dejanay Cox, his mother, had been charged with obstruction of justice and endangering a child. His grandmother, Bobby Johnson, was facing a charge of obstruction of justice. We do not know yet what their time will be served. Now, what these charges mean to me is that the mom endangered the child some way, somehow, and then kept how she endangered that child from the police, as well as Bobby, the grandmother, had obstruction of justice because she had lied or kept information from the police. Now, there is not a lot of evidence to say that she did this on purpose, because the autopsy had said that there was not a clear cut manner of death or cause of death. They can't really prosecute her on murder. They can't prosecute her for murdering a child if the cause of death is undetermined. That has to go to homicide. So people were upset that she didn't get the charge of murder. However, the way that the laws work, it was very hard to prosecute her for that. So they were prosecuting her on everything they could other than that. Child endangerment charges, as well as obstruction of justice, but especially the child endangerment charge, changes from state to state. So every state has a different penalty for this. I looked up a lot, and what I could find was a lot of times the maximum that you can get for child endangerment is only 10 years. 10 years in prison. Some people have 5, some people have none. Some people walk away on good behavior and have nothing. So this mom is probably only looking at a maximum of 10 years. 10 years. That's insane, because she endangered her child to the point that he died. Now, this story that she had has a lot of holes, and people question it from the get-go, and it's fishy. Like, the whole story that she told doesn't add up at any point. First, let's explore the possibility that everything was the way the mother and grandmother said it was. Now, that means that this child fell out of a 3-story window. Remember, I said had no injuries, no visible injuries. So he fell out of that window, that 3rd-story window, landed, had no injuries, got up, walked away. Somehow made it to the pool, somehow got into the pool, even though, first of all, he's probably not even tall enough to reach the lock, let alone have a key to get into the pool. Now, I've watched some videos on the days leading up to finding him, and there is a fence around the pool. It's like a black, heavy-duty fence. And in part of this, there is a place where the bars are pulled a little bit apart. Now, in my opinion, I think it's very unlikely that he squeezed through this fence, but some people have pointed that out, that he could have fell, had no visible injuries, had no injuries at all, got up, walked to the pool, somehow squeezed himself through that hole, got in the pool, and drowned. Now, that's the story that the mother has said. I mean, in my opinion, this is extremely unlikely. I mean, the world would have to align perfectly for all of that to happen, for no one to have seen him going into the pool, all of it. I mean, it's very unlikely, and it makes my brain hurt trying to figure out how that could have happened. So let's explore other options. Did he fall and someone else take him? Maybe they put him in the pool afterwards to cover up what they did. I feel like it would have to be someone that lived in those apartments because they had to have the key, or maintenance, or someone who worked there. That pool required that key, and so it would have had to have been someone on the property. No one found him because he was not visible. Now, this is the theory, that he was not visible to searchers that entire time. That the underwater divers, that everybody went into this pool. Now, keep in mind, this is a pool. This is not a muddy creek. This is not a big area to search. Now, I do understand that that pool had a pump issue, which could have made the pool murkier. So maybe you wouldn't see the bottom necessarily. But they had divers searching every square inch of that property. And it just, I mean, how could he get into the pump part? All of it just is very fishy. Also, because of that no sign of trauma, that doesn't add up that he fell out of the window and someone took him, because he would have something from falling out of that window. I don't think that Braylon fell out that window. And I know a lot of people who believe the same. I don't think it's plausible. I don't think that a 3-year-old falls out of a window and just gets up and walks away, or someone takes him. I just don't see it in my brain. So, processing all of that, I realized that the most obvious theory in this case is that Braylon somehow died. Most likely, he drowned in the bath, or something happened, maybe to knock him unconscious. Something happened. And because the grandmother and the mother didn't want to be prosecuted for it, they covered it up and said it was accidental. This would explain that there was no fall from that window. They had a key to that pool and access to that pool. Could have they just put him there at the beginning of the search and people just didn't notice him? Or did they hide his body somewhere and then put him in that pool after the search was done? I don't know on that. I mean, it's very weird to me that if they did move his body, that no one saw that. I feel like there would have been cops and people really watching that apartment complex after Braylon was reported missing. So it's very odd that that happened, if it did. Now, a lot of people point back to that hole that was dug behind the apartments. Did they put his body in that pool and then, or in that hole, and then dug him up and put him in the pool later? That's a possibility. The 911 call is very odd. All of it is very odd. Some people have thought that they heard Dejanay say, "I killed him," in the background of the 911 call. Now, I did not hear that when I listened to it, but that doesn't mean that it's not there. I don't know. I didn't hear it. If this is the story, the theory, that had happened, it's so infuriating. It makes me so angry that this mom will only get up to 10 years and that this grandma probably won't get much for obstruction of justice. So these two are just walking away, and Braylon lost his life. It's infuriating. However this happened, this child, this baby died. And all of it had stemmed from some kind of negligence. We may never know the true details of what happened to Braylon. But he lost his life in a horrible, horrible way. And I hate that there's not going to be a clear point of justice in this case. It makes me sick what people do to children. Hold your babies close, because this happens a lot. We're seeing more and more missing cases of children, abuse cases of children. It's just a lot. It's a lot to deal with. That person that suggested this case on my live requested it when we were talking about JonBenet. And I completely understand why that person suggested it from that case, because they're very, very similar. It feels like there's not going to be justice for Braylon, whereas there's not been justice for JonBenet. Age-wise, they're around the same age. The parents were involved some way. And we just may never know what really happened. And it's just extremely, extremely sad. Braylon was a cute, wonderful little boy. Autism is hard to deal with, but it makes a person very, very special. And Braylon was that. And I think that it just breaks my heart that this little boy had that happen. And, you know, he was so young. He had a whole life, and it was just ripped away from him by people that were the closest to him. And that's what really is the tragic, tragic part. Thank you for listening to this case. It's extremely sad. It's extremely heavy. Like I said, I've been walking around with just this heaviness this week, researching about Braylon, but it's so important that this case gets out there. One, because I want to see the people responsible go away for more than 10 years. And also because we need to celebrate Braylon's life. Toledo is missing a part of their community in a big way with Braylon. And so thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for understanding that heavy cases need to be talked about. So thank you guys for listening. If you like my content, any one of my videos, please like, subscribe, share, get the word out there about these cases that no one's paying attention to. It's infuriating. Anyway, I will be back with another case next time. Hold your babies close, treat your babies well. They deserve it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Hey guys, thank you for watching. If you liked this video or any of my other content, please click the subscribe button and the bell and the like button to help me with my content and my channel as it grows. Also follow me on social media platforms. Right now my biggest form of communication outside of YouTube is TikTok, so please add me on there. I make some funny true crime content on there. So thank you guys for watching. Love you!